This, well, I had told you, right? Compared to the basic and compared to the Bauhaus, well, there are also some previous things, right? Well, this is pretty fun, actually, to take a look at this. These are some research held by some British researchers that study shapes, the shapes of nature, exactly, and they are, in fact, just several shapes and configurations of the liberty style, or how was the liberty called, right? It was dealing with plants and so on, right? And so I'm sure you all have the liberty style with all those curls and squiggles and all those leaves. It all originates from this. This are some other research which were held in the beginning of the 1900s. This is a French researcher. I can't really remember his name. Sorry, it's a Defiance. My memory is not helping me as of now. I can't remember the name of this researcher. But, well, he was designing textile design, and he's designing the structures and the weaves of articulating a fabric. Well, here we are at Bauhaus, finally. So here, how I told you, here's like a climax. See? Well, what happens in Bauhaus? Well, in Bauhaus, something very fun happens according to this point of view. Well, those who had started the school, well, they start asking themselves, but who could we actually address to teach our students to give the right configuration, to give shape to things? Well, and the answers were, I know several artists which are very sophisticated, very good and talented, one called Kandinsky, and another called Klee. Well, this is also something which is, you have to keep in mind somewhere in your mind, right, that the basic originates from this, it originates from there. I mean, it originates at this level. And it originates, and here there was one of the two, which is Kandinsky, wrote a book which is called Line Surface. And this is an exercise that he has done before going to teach at the Bauhaus. This is a marvelous thing. Personally, this is my personal judgment, okay? That I say that it's marvelous. I'm passionate of this kind of art. But it's my personal judgment, once again. And this is Klee. And this is something very interesting. Unfortunately, I do not have a bigger image or easier to read, but Klee, what has he done for the Bauhaus? Well, Kandinsky has done something also, but Klee in particular has edited. Well, one thing which is very important that you have to keep in mind is they call these two and others, but they call these primarily, and they tell them, and these are artists, they are artists, they have their own theory, or how can we say, they have their own poetics, their figurative poetics, right? They have their autonomous model, and they find themselves facing the problem that this thing has to be transmitted. They find themselves in this particular situation, right? What I have in mind, I need to communicate. And therefore, we are assisting, like for example, this book, we are actually assisting in real time, we're assisting to the transformation of a personal, poetic, individualistic in a, well, actually they, at that time, At that time, they were hoping that this was an objective theory. They were speaking about objectiveness. They were speaking about something that could be measurable, something that could be confronted. Now we are a bit more safe, but the effort is fitting in this same idea, right? We are not hoping that the things that turn out in the basic work as some true objective, undoubtful, but in reality, they are intersubjective, which means that it's a reality that is around which a few people, like a plurality of people, agree. Let's proceed. Well, this man, this artist, transforms his poetic into a book, and this book becomes like a type of book of fundamentals. Do you know how this was entitled? It was, if I'm not mistaken, like the theories of the form or the theories of the shape, and that of configuration. No, the title is figurazione in Italian, but that's an old word. It's an old translation which doesn't really keep in mind that the correct word of gestaltum is configurazione, not figurazione, but nothing too serious. I mean, it's just that we can go on with this. No. Okay, here we are. This is an exercise that was done in class by Clay, and this is an exercise with color, and it looks like very many other exercises that he has done with other criteria. But you can all notice it's elements. It's what is the main theme here? The control of the configuration. It's asking the shapes to do exactly what you want them to do, not to do just something by chance, right? You have to control exactly the shape. This is still true nowadays. Sorry if I'm jumping from one topic to the other, but it's something which is still true nowadays. This is Ethan. Well, this is a very particular case where Ethan was another artist who worked in basic design. Well, this in reality is a figurative project. Like, true, it represents a card, and it starts from another interesting aspect, which is the fundamental, which is the fact of using your gestures, communication. Well, I don't really want to start talking about these great historians of semiotic, grammars, and so on, but the communication is linked directly to the matter of gestures. And he asked his students to do these kind of exercises. This, I mean, propedeutical, like doubly propedeutical, twice. I mean, in the sense that this is asking the people and putting these people in the conditions of just like loosening out their wrists before they started drawing. This was an exercise where you could like train your wrists to move, and this derives from a work of like a training. It's like it's like just going to the gym. I mean, it's like yoga. Yeah, just like yoga. It's like a principle which is very close to yoga, actually. And Itten was an Orientalist and was strongly linked to Orientalism. Another figure always that followed the Bauhaus was another man, Moholy-Nagy. Well, probably Itten, you cannot know him, but the fact that you don't know Moholy-Nagy, well then in this case, I would actually scold you and just beat you. He is a figure who's very, very important. and well, his characteristic has been at those times to strongly push the accelerator on what are the new technologies nowadays. Well, he has done photographic design, he has done cinematographic design, and he also had another key role, which is also very important. He was very interested into the fact that communication of objects and so on for their audience, they are not linked to one unique sense. They are not done only for your eyes, for example, one of your senses, right? This is an exercise that was incredible, which was done for these students, and practically it was evaluated with their eyes shut. And these are tactile sculptures. Because when this is true also for those of you who do product design, well, this is absolutely important and relevant to the fact that you keep in mind that the objects and the results are objects that people may touch. This is a case, and it's an exercise of basic design of the course that was held at the new Bauhaus in Chicago, right? How I was telling you, right? About the Bauhaus that is held in the United States. And he does basic, like it's filming.